I don't do what I feel like doing most of the times, and that's where the discipline comes in. If I was dictated by how I felt all the time, I'd be in trouble because I'd be doing things that aren't going to lead me to where I want to go.
Welcome to the Spartan Deka series on Spartan Up with Jarod Cogswell, Director of Sport, and Yancy Culp, Director of Programming.
What's up, Spartans? Welcome to the Deka series on the Spartan Up podcast. I'm the Director of Sport and Education, Jarod Cogswell, along with my brother, the Director of Programming, Yancy Culp. And today, we have a very, very special guest. With us today, we have somebody that's been lighting people up for years now, including professional athletes of all, at the highest level, Todd Durkin.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Lumen Metabolism Tracker, the first device to track your metabolism and provide daily personalized nutrition plans for peak performance. Visit lumen.me to order and use the code Spartan50 for $50 off.
You work with all levels of fitness, all levels of humanity for that matter. You go in, you speak to corporate groups. I mean, you are really one of the most authentic speakers I've ever seen and witnessed. And, you know, I think to the people that, you know, your athletes, you know, whether the high school kids or the pro athletes, I think about somebody like Drew Brees. You know, like Drew Brees to me is like, he's got that mind right. But I also know that he leans in on you. How do you transfer that type, you know, some of your best practices to somebody at that level? I mean, he's at the highest of the highest level, and he's going to be, I mean, you're going to have another Hall of Famer after it's all said and done, and training him for so many years.
Yeah, I've been with Drew for 18 years, and let me tell you, it's been one hell of a year for everybody, right? For everyone listening in right now, it's been one hell of a year. And Drew, before this season, contemplated retirement. And then, you know, through the good and the bad of everything going on, I don't know if my role has ever been more important right now as a friend, coach, mentor, colleague of Drew and all my pro athletes, because what you have to realize is all of us are human beings, and all of us need accountability, and all of us have weakness inside of us. It's said that the flesh is weak, and then the mind will get weak if the body ain't working. And that's why the body, mind, and soul, to me, they're all contagious. They're all contagious. The body, mind, and spirit are all contagious, and they'll catch the disease of each other. So if the body ain't right, it weakens the mind. And when you're in pain, when you're in physical pain, most people who are listening in know what pain's about. I know firsthand at the end of my football career. When you're in pain, physical pain, it affects your mind, and you can get down, you can get depressed. And likewise, if you're mentally weak, and you're mentally right now and you're in a funk, or you're facing stress or anxiety or depression, then guess what? Your motivation and inspiration wanes, and next thing you know, you are in a hole, and you're looking and searching for light, but there's a lot of dark in there. And likewise, spiritually, soulfully, that if you're spiritually devoid of wisdom and faith, then you can only be so fulfilled in your life. Guys like Drew, the guys I coach, men and women of all ages, shapes, sizes, and ability levels, because I got a lot of kids and a lot of athletes and a lot of entertainers and high performers at all levels. To me, when you look at a human being of where you at, the question I ask myself all the time is, what can I do to pour life into somebody? Maybe it's coaching their body, maybe it's coaching their mind, maybe it's coaching their spirit, or maybe it's all three. To me, if I'm amped up and I'm lit up on the inside, JC, you called it the sanctuary earlier on, whether that be here at Fitness Quest 10, whether it be home, whether it be in a parking lot, I don't care. The bottom line is I've got to stay lit up so I can light other people up. The problem that we all face right now in a world that's full of darkness is if that darkness extinguishes the light, I'm in trouble, and all those people who I influence will be in trouble as well. What I've found is it's taken more and more discipline to dial in the habits that are essential in order to stay lit up right now. In order to stay lit up, habits are everything. And I got to fight like mad on all aspects, business, personal, professional, to make sure that my habits are dialed in. Does that mean it's going to be easy? Heck no, it's not going to be easy. But to answer your question, a guy like Drew, he has the unbelievable, uncanny ability to compartmentalize life. And when it's football time, it's football time. When he's with his family, his family. When there's all the other different ways he's giving back to the Breeze Dream Foundation, it's through that. And most importantly, I think the last 6 months, the one thing that I've really encouraged Drew on is just faith. Is I think in tough times, you got to narrow the circle around you, and you got to rely on your faith to get you through it. Because if you listen to all the noise out there, there's a lot of noise. And you got to trust your instincts. You got to trust your gut. You got to trust the faith inside of you. Because if you listen to everyone else, man, you will be so lost and anxious on the inside that you lose yourself. And that's a bad thing.
You know, when you talk about discipline, you know, I think back to, you know, when I was climbing mountains a lot. You know, I trained because out of fear. I feared not having fun when I was out on those mountains. I feared not having this internal confidence if I didn't train my body properly, and that would mess with my mind. You know, if I was up on the mountain, I don't know if I could do that, and it takes all the fun out. You know. And I think about all of your rituals that, to me, are some of the best practices of discipline. You know, like I mentioned them earlier about the WLAGs. What are some of those other best practices that you implement on a daily, monthly basis that helps you stay consistent?
Yeah. Well, Yancy, you've done this. JC, you've done this. And most people listening in have in some way, shape, or form done this. I'm a huge advocate of reverse engineering your success. If you want to get to some place, let's say you want to be a pro athlete, or you want to lose 30 pounds or 100 pounds, or you want to get a certain level of financial success, you've got to reverse engineer it. Here's where I want to go, and what's it going to take? It's called a game plan. So I started about 15 years ago working with different mentors in my life who I'd say in that time period, the last 10 years specifically, I have gotten extremely focused on my routines and disciplines that I've created. And I share all of them publicly in my Get Your Mind Right book. I just came out with that in June. And what that is, everything from my annual roadmap, which I look at what are my big 5 goals this year. And then people are like, well, even with COVID, guess what? I still have big goals and big dreams and big aspirations. And sometimes life throws you a curveball. Guess what? Keep swinging, baby. Keep punching. And until I'm dead and don't have a pulse, I'm going to keep dreaming that I've only hit a fraction of my potential that God gave me. So I've got the big dreams. I got my big 5 for my life and for my year. And then I have a 90-day wonder. Quarter 4. We're going into quarter 4 here, 2020. Listen, maybe you got your ass kicked in the first 3 quarters of the game. You ever have that halftime talk, folks, where you just got your tail whooped in the first 2 quarters, the first 3 quarters? Well, many people had that happen here in 2020. But I can tell you one thing. I learned this from one of my other mentors, Coach Warren Wolf. Bless his heart, he's now in heaven. But listen, the 4th quarter, how you finish is everything. I don't care if you're down 55-0 at halftime, but if you go down and you lose 55-33 and you came back with some fire, that shows a lot about character. The 4th quarter and how you play the game right now in the 4th quarter is everything. So to me, the 90-day wonder, working in quarterly systems, all the way down, I have something called the 10 forms of wealth. These are different 10 areas of your life that we set goals in your life for the month. You got your annual, you got your quarter, you got your month, all the way down to WLAGs, as you mentioned, your wins, losses, aha moments, and goals. That's a form of journaling. So if I have a journal every Sunday, without fail, I journal. It's my time to take 30 to 60 minutes on a Sunday to reflect back on the last week and to fast forward and look forward to this week. Ultimately knowing that each and every day I'm going to have my big 5, my daily 5. That if I do these 5 things by the time I leave this office or do what I'm doing if I'm on the road, if I do these 5 things, I know that if I win 3 or 4 or 5 days a week, I'm going to have a winning day, a winning week, which leads to winning months, which leads to winning quarters, which leads to a winning year, year after year after year, all because I reverse engineer all the way backwards to my WLAGs and my daily habits. I don't do what I feel like doing most of the times, and that's where the discipline comes in. If I was dictated by how I felt all the time, I'd be in trouble because I'd be doing things that aren't going to lead me to where I want to go. It's what do I have to do to get to where I want to go? Most of the times, if I was asking you the question, what are the 3 to 5 things that most move your soul? What are the things that you love to do? What are the things that, man, when you're doing this, you're empowered. You're like, man, this lights me up. What lights you up? If you spend time doing the things that light you up, all of a sudden, guess what? You get that contagious enthusiasm, that energy, that positivity. Like, man, I'm manifesting the things in my life that I want. Why? Because of the routines that you've established, because you love doing what you do. To me, that's why when you mention some of the accolades and things I've done, let's put it this way. I've had far more setbacks and failures in my life than people probably know about, but I don't let them throw me off my course. I don't let them get me down for too long. They'll get me down. They'll get me down, but I'll say, all right, I'll stay down for a day or a few hours or a few minutes. Then snap it, time to move on. Flush the toilet and let's roll.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Lumen Metabolism Tracker, the first device to track your metabolism and provide daily personalized nutrition plans for peak performance. Visit lumen.me to order and use the code Spartan50 for $50 off.